Hello, students. My name is Bernard Collins. I am a poet and a painter. I live in Lawnside, New Jersey, and I'm going to share some work with you. I wanted to talk about ekphrastic poetry, which is poems that describe things we observe. It could be a painting, it could be a sculpture, it could be an object. And here's an example. This is called Black Rose. She wore a black rose in her hair, milk chocolate skin, smooth like wet soap or river throwing rocks. Her features spoke of a new beauty. I overheard her speaking proudly of a desire to dance, audition. Eyes fixed on that beautiful black rose, locked in a timeless state of blooming, indifferent to the sun, born from the hands of mankind. Imagination was the soil. Guess I was the bee that pollinated this poem. One glance was the spring. I pictured her twirling with that black rose in her hair, center stage, sweating proudly. The spotlight warms her soft brown skin flesh. Her parents tense every muscle, waiting for the grand finale, encouraging their families. Black Rose. Now that poem was generated because I was on a subway in Philadelphia going to one of the places that I go and teach, and I saw a black rose. It was like a black silk rose in someone's hair. So that ekphrastic poetry, that descriptive poem, was about that rose, but it took on a larger story. It started to take on a different significance. Here's another example. This is called Red. Red, sweet, slow motion, swaying red. Brilliant sensation, penetrating the blues. Elevating thoughts, stimulating hormones, red. Antithesis of greed, a sign for me to stop. I hope I'm not too yellow. Red. Fire engine spitting ice cold water to extinguish raging fire, red. Molten lava, cherry Kool-Aid, red. Silk thread clung to her flesh. The image clings to my mind. I think I'll be seeing red for a long, long time. That's another example of a descriptive poem, an ekphrastic type poem that describes something that you see. Both of those were free form poems, but you can also apply a different, a different form. So let's say you see a painting of, somebody homeless on the street, and you can pick a form, say haiku, 575. We're very familiar with that. So this is called change. You see a painting, and the painting has a homeless man. So you see it and you say, like, okay, he roams the subway, declaring himself helpless, seeking the wrong change. Now, that's just called change. But it's a haiku based on a painting of someone that is homeless or that needs, somebody who needs help. But you still can use different forms. So that's a good example of how you can use a different form and still be in the sort of category of an ekphrastic poem. But you can look at classical pieces. You can look at, let's say, I'll give you an example. And this can be an example that you could take on. Say, I'm also a painter. So here's an example of a photograph. And I'll just hold this for you for a minute. Just a little minute. You ask yourself, what do you see? What do you see? What is the person in the photograph doing, right? And then you write a poem based on what you see. I'll hold it just for a second or two here so you can see it. And this is a source material that you could write an ekphrastic type of poem too. this person in this particular poem, watercolor, her name was Moms Mabley. She was a female comedian. She was a woman who did comedy. What do you see? What do you see? And it doesn't have to be celebrities. I mean, this is another one. I did a self-portrait. Once again, what do you see? How would you describe it? What does it make you feel? You know, in this particular painting, I was sort of just, bugging out, so to speak. But you can take things that are serious. You can see it doesn't necessarily have to be a painting. It could be a sculpture. It could be a performance that you see. Like suppose you go to a concert and you see someone dancing. They're doing a ballet, or they're doing jazz or modern or a hip hop dance. You can ask yourself, what does that poem, how do I feel about that poem? How does it make me feel? What do I see? You take a position. Are you going to describe it? Does it describe you? Or do you try and figure out what exactly the dancer is feeling at the time, There's very different approaches that you can take, and a wide variety of ways that you can convey this, Throughout the years, I've done this with a lot of my work. So it actually feels kind of natural at times. But ask yourself, one other approach is you could even see, like, say you see something like take your favorite TV show, or you take you see something like while you're sort of walking. It'd be like a walk in a park, you see a fountain. And it's been done before. People have described things from history. They'll see like, someone on a horse, an equestrian sculpture. And then they'll describe like a great general or something like that, So those are several approaches that you can take. Once again, my name is Mr. Bernard Collins, and I'm very thankful to be able to share this with you. And I look forward to perhaps hearing your work and what you come up with. I gave you some examples, some visual examples that you could possibly feed off of. I could give you one more. I have a large painting behind me. It's kind of hard to pull out from that because I'm so close, but I will give you this example, another example that you can feed off of for an ekphrastic poem. An ekphrastic poem. And you can respond to the musician playing, or you can respond to the colors, the shapes, the interaction between the two. Right? It's up to you. Or if you can conceptualize or think of what that sound is that that instrument is making, is another approach that you can take. All of which would be valid. And of course you'll have your own ideas, and and of course you'll come up with something that's amazing and incredible. My one advice that I would give when doing this particular exercise, if you take on ekphrastic poetry, which is very fun, is to try to find colorful words, descriptive words that could help you get your point across. And just have fun as you approach this particular subject matter. Just relax, have fun with it, and then see where that takes you. I enjoy hearing poetry about, hearing poetry, unique poetry, youth poetry from both young and old people, and I've found that that it's best when approaching your creativity in a non restrictive, non uptight way. If you can relax while you're working, right? Make sure you have don't rush it necessarily. Maybe even write something down. Write a rough draft, say in pencil. I know a lot of times we go straight to the computer, we go straight to our phone, but one thing that you can do is just write it in pencil so you can erase it. So you can erase and then try it again. Many times I find myself, second, like I'll have words that come up or phrasing that comes up, in my work, and I want to sort of phrase it a different way. So I'll change it, I'll edit it. The editing process for poetry and writing in general is an important part. I'm going to share this one last piece. It's called The Conversation. The Conversation. Through time and space, we were tumbling weightlessly, like autumn leaves on a warm summer wind. Pretty, brown, bruised, and tattered, we gently collided. Positive energy ignited conscious conversation, eyes embracing the untouched, anticipating the next unspoken word, like the sculpted smell of expensive perfume. I anxiously inhaled this fleeting moment, filled my soul like air fills my lungs, praying that this goodbye won't be our last. And that's called The Conversation. So, and once again, I choose free form when I do a lot of it, but a lot of times I'll see something or hear something and it just sets me off and I just want to write. I want to create. I want to respond to it, and sometimes I need to pause in between. I can't do it right away, and maybe I'm working, maybe I'm teaching, but or maybe I'm doing something else, but at times it's that pause gives me a chance to process what I've seen, what I've heard, and then really get in touch with how I feel about it. So I just want to encourage you to keep pushing on. I want to, with your work, I want to encourage you to create. It's one of those things that as you create more, it gets just better and better. So I wish you the best with this exercise. And once again, my name is Bernard Collins, and I thank you for your time and look forward to interacting with you in the future. If you have any questions about this, ask your teacher. Teachers are just like they contain an amazing amount of knowledge, amazing amount of information, and ask them. And it's good to get feedback. The other thing about poetry is you get feedback from those people around you that can give you intelligent feedback and can give you feedback critically that you can use. That's the last little gem. I'll give you that last little gem. Use your teachers as a resource to get their feedback on what you're creating, what you're working on. And a lot of times they'll give you some insight to what you're doing in your process that can really be helpful. I'm thankful essentially for all of the teachers I've interacted with. I got a bachelor's degree. My bachelor's degree and my master's degree they're both in fine art. So I've had to have a lot of critiques from a lot of intelligent people. And I can tell you this honestly, it's one of the best things in the world to get intelligent criticism from people that really care about making your work better as much as you do. So that's it. I'll see you in an art gallery. I'll see you at a poetry reading sometime in the future. Thank you very much and have a fantastic day.